didn't use diplomatic language. She didn't hide behind political spin. She called. Hello, my Teaser King family. How is everybody today? I hope you are doing well. I am doing well. Watching our gold and silver on our COMEX paper bullshit market. And we've got a little move going on at 10 o'clock, which is extremely surprising. So 10 o'clock up, that's a good sign. 5,015 and silver 78.65. Hopefully making our move. We've seen gold and silver really just sit and do nothing. Not sure, what's going on with the thing. So it's nice, huh? 78.80. Silver's making a run. Let me get my toast just a second. I swear I have the noisiest apartment. You shouldn't hear people walking above you or their TV. It's really... I never noticed it before because kids were in school. There was a lady with two kids there, and they were gone all day. But at night, I never heard them. They had a dog, didn't bark. These people out here, they walk around. The TV, they must be deaf because it's very loud, and it's insane. I can't wait to move out. So moving out May 1st, I'll have some peace and quiet, which is a good thing. Plus, I'll save on rent. I can buy more silver. Anyway, so COMEX is, as we know, it's a bullshit paper market option. The banks play their little games with it, right? So the banks goes up, they short it. It goes down, they're longing. So that's what they're doing now. The price has been held down. So now they're buying, and they're buying cheap, and that's the whole point of it. If they want to buy cheap, they lower the price with their shorts, and if they want to sell, they raise the price and sell. The problem is when they short and the price goes up instead of down. So a short, you want the price to go down, and you want to buy it cheaper. So you're selling first. So normally you would buy at 60, sell at 70. Well, what they're doing is selling at 70 to buy at 60. But what happens is when it goes to 80, they can't buy at 60, and they don't want to buy at 80 if you've already sold at 70. So this is the problem with the banks, and that's why they're all collapsing, and all these little games are to try to get out of these options because they're all going broke, and they realize this. Anyway, my pita bread. The perfect breakfast. At least it's late. I prefer to wait till noon, but I just can't. It's like I'll eat now. So what we have here is sort of a Monopoly game. I mean, it's all bullshit. It's all these bankers just fucking around and fucking everything over. I watched this YouTube yesterday, which I'm not going to share with you. I'm just going to I'm just going to tell you what I saw, and they were creating the central bank, and they couldn't call it a central bank. So this is how stupid they think the people are who work in the senators and congressmen who have to allow this. They said, well, we'll call it the Federal Reserve instead of the central bank. They won't know. And since we're calling it federal and a reserve, it's not federal. It's not anything to do with the government. It's just the central bank, which probably has nothing to do with the government either. It's just a Ponzi scheme. It's a monopoly on printing money by the government. When they need money, they print. But don't kid yourself, they print for themselves too. And the whole system's so corrupt that they just print money out of thin air and charge you interest. So this money doesn't exist. I'm going to loan you $100, which I don't have, and I'm going to charge you 5% interest. But the money doesn't exist. How can you charge me interest? Well, because we're the corrupt. We're the mafia. We can do what we want. That's how you get money for a house or a car. You can't afford them. Who can afford 400,000 for a house? Nobody. So you take a mortgage out for the bank. What is the point of that? That should never exist. This is the big problem. The banks are all corrupt, and it's a Ponzi game. In other words, when we go to the grocery store, if the stakes are too high, we buy another steak. Well, if we translate that to houses, if the house is too expensive, we buy another house. And they would have to control their prices. In other words, they won't be able to sell it for 500,000 because there's no buyers at 500,000. Just like I tell the guy at the barbecue, if you make your ribs $45 a slab, nobody will buy it. So he keeps them at 30, and he's still in business. And the other two have gone out of business. So you must understand this. In a free market, without this bullshit banking, you would go buy a house with money you could afford. So if they can't make a house for $5,000-$10,000, they don't sell any. I mean, this is the craziest Ponzi scheme in the middle in the history of the world. You shouldn't need to go to the bank to buy a house, right? If they can't make the house for $10,000, $15,000, then there's no housing market. It's as simple as that. So you got to figure out how to make a house at a place. And then if you want to, it shouldn't, houses in 1970s were 25,000. Now, did people have 25,000? They probably earned 25,000. They probably could have saved up a few years to afford the 25,000. So why are they 500,000 now? Well, the banks get involved. They'll loan the money to the people who can't afford it. You just had a 2008 housing crisis. I love how they call it a financial crisis. No, it was a housing crisis. Jimmy Clinton went in and passed the law or executive order, whatever the fuck he did, saying that the banks have to loan to anybody who wants, even if they don't have credit or a job. And they said, no, we're not going to loan. And he said, no, you have to. And he threatened the banks to do it. So I don't know what Clinton was thinking. Again, a socialist view of everybody has the right to own a house, which is bullshit. It's the free market. If you can afford it, you can own a house. Not if you can't, not if you don't have good credit. Because the banks are on the hook. They've lent the money to these people so they could buy a house. So if these people can't pay the bank back, the bank loses. And since they created these real estate trusts, which are a bunch of mortgages, and you buy into it, if that's the point, then the banks are on the hook for lending money to people that have bad credit or couldn't afford it or no jobs. And not only were they buying one, if you watch that one, the Batman movie, the hooker was the stripper was buying 5 or 6 houses. She was buying it as an investment, like you would buy stocks. So, that bank ain't getting paid back on the 6 houses, multiplied by a lot. So that's what the banks are really struggling with. They make a lot of stupid decisions. I'm convinced the bankers are idiots. They have no idea what they're doing. Then you get Jamie Dimon, who's in with Madoff, and he's in with price fixing gold, and he's just a criminal. And then they'll say how good he is. Oh, Jamie Dimon's the best banker. No, he's not. He's a crook. So maybe he's the best crook. Let's say that. Anyway, so this is the problem with bankers. Their goal is to print money and get interest on it. You want to buy a house? Sure. You want to buy a car? Sure. Let's do, well, what else can we do? Oh, we can buy options on Comax, and we'll short, we'll go long, we'll just play this game where we're constantly doing it, but nobody will ask for physical, so we'll be fine. And they played the game until they realized BRICS was coming and people were asking for physical and they didn't get out or couldn't get out. And then the gold price started to move from 2000 to 5. Silver started to move from 20 to 100, basically. And the banks are sitting there like a bunch of idiots. Oh, geez, I didn't know people would really want physical gold, because we try to do our best to make sure nobody wants it, no demand for it. And this is how strange the bankers are. This is how stupid the bankers are. What the bankers should have been doing is understanding gold and silver and then buying the shit out of it and not play this option game. Oh, they make money in that, but had they bought gold and silver, they'd make a lot more money and it would be risk-free. But they're stupid. John C., hello? Not a lot up. We're just talking. So anyway, I've been talking a lot about poker and going over football, and I think it's a good topic for what I do. There's problems. I'll show you a video I was just watching about Italy and Germany fighting, trying to collapse each other. So we know gold's going up and silver's going up. It's not a guess. It's not maybe. If this happens and that happens, and the yen does this and the other does that, it'll go up. No, we know it's going up. We know the dollar's worthless because we understand the point that makes the dollar worthless is overprinting. And we understand that. We also understand part of it is the demand for the dollar. There's nobody wants it. All the BRICS countries don't want to deal with the dollar. Russia, China, the big ones are you've sanctioned them. They can't even use the dollar. Saudi Arabia, no more petrodollar. So we understand the reason the dollar has collapsed. Most people don't. So most people are clueless, running around not realizing the dollar's worthless. And they'll go, well, I can go to the grocery store and still use it. They don't see a difference. But they can't understand why all the prices of everything has gone up. I mean, even I bought a cauliflower, it was $3.99. Broccoli, $2.99 for a bunch. My ginger root's up to like $3 or $4. So the whole thing, people don't understand. And then what does the news say? What does the government say? Well, inflation's 2%. It's prices. Well, it's not. Again, the market can control the prices. But the money printing, only the banks control, the Federal Reserve, basically. And the banks who loan the money out for people to buy houses and cars. And crunchy bread. It's pita bread. I fried it. Well, I put it in the frying pan with olive oil. So it gets toasted, basically. It's a creative way to toast it. Hey, these spam calls. At least my phone says spam on it. So um, we understand that. We understand the dollar's worthless. We understand what kills the dollar, right? And so, therefore, eating a lot of sugar and carbs, you're going to get diabetes, you're going to get sick. So don't eat it. Smoking cigarettes will kill you because of the poison. Drinking alcohol will kill you because too much sugar also. There was a thing on our doctor on the top 10 things that age you prematurely, that speed up your aging process. And number one was alcohol. There was sweet pop, Coca-Cola. There was juices that are not fruit juices. They're all sugar. There was cakes. There was salad dressings, mostly high fructose corn syrup stuff. And there was the number 10 one was margarine. Like, eat butter, don't eat margarine. And that was most of it. It was all related to sugar and high fructose corn syrup, which is sugar. So basically, sugar kills us. It ages us. Alcohol, a lot of sugar. They didn't have cigarettes on there, but we know that what they do. It's just smoking poison. Who the fuck wants to smoke poison? I don't get it. So, but I know if you smoke, your chances are you're going to die from the smoke. So if that happens, so if I print money, if I just print it without backing by gold and I print too much of it, as the US has done, I know it has to lose its value and go to zero, because every time in the history of the world it's done it, it's gone to zero. So if I know that, then the lifeboat is gold and silver, as I tell you, and that's it. Spam calls suck. Yeah, it's AI. Welcome to AI world. What I do is answer them and hang up and then block them. They still get me, but it takes a while to do it. The other thing you should do with your phone is donate. If it's a strange number, like if I were to call you, it would say Professor, and okay, so you know it's me. But if you get a call and it doesn't say spam, it doesn't say your friends that you know, mom and dad or whatever, and it says nothing, answer the phone and don't say anything. And who are you? You've got to be a spam, because it would have a name. So when that happens, you don't answer. You wait for them to say hello, then you talk, because it's AI and they're trying to sell your information all over the place that this is a live number, and then you get all the spams. So by not answering, the phone thinks this number is bad and it won't forward it to the spam callers. So when I answer, I don't say anything on purpose. And then you get in, because there's a lot of trouble when you go, hello, 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 who is this? And nobody answers. It's AI. It's a spam. And they're selling your information. They're saying this phone number is live. There's a person there. And then you got inundated with this stuff. Anyway, so again, the banks are, so we know, like, sugar kills you and cigarettes kill you, alcohol kills you. So there's a cause, there's an effect. Money printing is the cause. The effect is the money is worthless. So if we know that's what it is, it's not prices going up, it's money being printed. So we understand what kills the dollar. And then we understand how do you survive it is gold and silver in physical form, not ETFs and not stocks. You got to be in the physical. You've got to own physical. This, nobody can fuck with you on. So because the dollar's gone, you own physical, you're fine. You're fine. People ask me for money and I go, I don't really have a lot of money. My money's in gold and silver, which I am not going to trade in for money right now. To me, this is money, and this is money, but I don't. This is gold and silver. This is an asset, but I don't want to sell it because I know this is going to $1,000. Why would I sell it at 78? And this is $1 going down to zero. So if I have $100 bill, it's worth $1. If I have $1, it's worth $100. So why would I sell this to get back into this? So I got to explain to my friends, well, I know you got a lot of money. Well, I don't have it in cash. It's in assets or my Mantle card. Let's get it graded. Maybe it's 60, 70 grand, but I don't want to sell it now. Well, maybe I would sell it for gold, but basically it has value, but it's not in the form it's at. Like if you owned a Rolex, let's say you own $100,000 Rolex. Well, you got money, but if somebody asks you for $100, sorry, I don't have it. I have a Rolex, but I'm not going to sell the Rolex, so I can give you $100. And people are struggling to understand that that's what my thing is. So where I do have value, I do have assets. In this form, I don't have that much, and I really don't want to spend it. I want to be very careful, because the longer I can hold it, then I can wait for the gold and silver to go up. It'll make me money by holding it. So I try to explain it to people. And they understand. Most of them understand it. They're frustrated because they need money, but I can't, if that's the only reason you're talking to me is for money, well, oops, sorry. Anyway, so we know the symptoms, money printing, and we know the exit strategy, the lifeboat, gold and silver. So it's not maybe gold and silver will go up. It's we know it will. But now we understand the game of COMEX, that it's just bankers trying to make money out of shorting and going long on gold and silver options. That's all it is. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's bullshit. There is no need for this. It's not honest. There is no reason for a COMEX market. None. Zero. Well, we can lock in the price on this option. There's no need. Just buy it. Just let it run. Let it be free to go to a free market, and we'll get a real price of gold and silver, and you won't have to worry about an option. It's like the Canadian Club. I don't need options. I take it to the grocery store. This is $100. You buy it or you don't. If nobody buys it, I lower the price to $80 until I finally get buyers for it. If everybody's buying it $100, I make it $120. I let the market dictate. And in gold and silver, there's a huge market, way more than the supply. So I know it's worth more because I know there's more demand than supply. I know supply is very limited. And what BRICS has 75% of the supply of gold, probably close to it in silver also, because China and Russia and India buy the shitload out of it. So you have all that, and there's not a lot left. So if you take it to market, which is what it really should be, just like, go to the grocery store, what's gold and silver? I mean, you go to Costco, it's a bullshit price. It's the COMEX price is what they sell it for, that's why it's all sold out. People go and buy the shit out of it. The only problem is it's not a coin, it's a bar, and it's a 1 ounce. So there's no half ounce or quarter ounce, or you can't get Philharmonics or Maple Leafs. You can only get the bar, a 1 ounce bar. So you start understanding that. So you still have this problem of COMEX, and COMEX is holding the price down. And now I don't have any reason why. I mean, okay, that one guy made $3 billion or $30 billion shorting it at what, 210 or 110, and went all the way down to 70 or 75 or something. Okay, but that's it. Now it's sitting in the 70s. And if you're shorting it now, you're not making money. So I don't really get what's going on now. I think it's just on the books. Now, I don't understand banking except for the concept. They loan the money to get interest. That's how they make money. That's how a bank makes money. Really, really smart business model. Yeah, I'm gonna make money out of thin air, and I'm gonna give it away to people to buy a house with, and then they're supposed to pay me like 6-7% interest on this phony money that's been printed out of thin air. Well, what if they don't pay you? Well, then we own a house. I mean, the whole concept's so stupid. The concepts of banks are so stupid. What we need is something that I can get money from Social Security or a paycheck to go somewhere and then use that money in some account and then pay my bills with. So you need an intermediary or some way to just bring it into my own account, the professor's account. Here it is. I get my paycheck. I get Social Security. It goes into this account, and then it's the professor's account that I pay rent and utilities and all that stuff with. Basically, it's as simple as that. So anyway, that's what you have. It's a stupid thing, but the banks are never known to be intelligent. So you have this whole thing, it was like 1910 or something, this whole Jekyll Island, which is in New York, which is where J.P. Morgan and a few other bankers got together and scammed everybody by calling it the Federal Reserve instead of the Central Bank of America. Central banks weren't allowed. Well, how the fuck did a Federal Reserve get allowed? That was a central bank. These people are this stupid. And then once they realize it's a central bank, why isn't it thrown out? Because it's clear in the Constitution, you can't have a central bank in America, because they knew with the problems with it, the power of the central bank printing the money to zero, and you didn't need a central bank. It didn't come in until 1914. It's created World War I, World War II, the Depression, Vietnam, Korea, this Russian thing, these oil embargoes, and all this stock market crashes. It's all because of the Federal Reserve. So what good has it ever done? None. It's a terrible thing, which is totally illegal. You're basically letting criminals earn your money. What kind of system is that? So I don't really understand it, but it just shows you the bankers run the government. That's what the lobbyists are and everything. It just shows you how bad it is, and why you really need gold and silver is because the whole system's corrupt. So we want to get out of the system. They don't want us out of the system. So they come up with this, well, it's like capital gains at 28%. It's not 28% unless you make so much. If I were to do it, I'd probably be 5 or 10%. So people think it's an automatic 28%. Now, if you do make a lot of money, okay. But again, if you sell a few ounces and there's no 1099, you're not paying it. And that's why they come out with these videos to try to scare you, right? You do the video, oh, you got to do that, or you go to jail and you go this. Only if they're trying to scare you do they come out with these videos. Nothing changes for me. I just go buy them and hold them. And if I need money, I'll sell one. And if I do have to pay capital gains, it would probably be 5%. If you can figure out my capital gains. If I sell it for $5,000, what did I buy it for? Yeah, $4,500. I made $500. I mean, this is the point. And they're not going to run around for somebody with low value. They're going after the people with $1 million. That's why they're going after the Bitcoin people and things. And if you notice, they don't call Bitcoin a collectible. Probably because it's just air. So they got to pay a regular tax when they sell. Instead of a capital gains tax, they pay the regular. I don't understand it, why it would be any different. You're collecting Bitcoin the same as you're collecting gold and silver. So anyway, these people can't They won't pay capital gains. So when you're looking to invest, you'll go, oh, well, I'll go into Bitcoin. I don't have to pay 28% when I sell. Well, but they don't understand. We're really not buying gold and silver to sell. We're buying it to get out of the dollar because we know the dollar has the cancer and it's dying and there's nothing they can do. And we're getting into the lifeboats. But when we're in the lifeboat, we're not looking to get back into the dollar. So we might sell one or two of them, but the bulk of these gold and silver we're buying is not to sell. It's to you're collecting it, like sports card, like baseball cards. But the difference is a Mantle card is a collectible. This is not a collectible. This 2-ounce maple leaf is not a collectible in any way, shape, or form. It's not. It's just I'm buying money. I'm buying a piece of silver. So let's say I worked at Toyota and I needed silver for these electric batteries or for electrical components in the car. Well, wait a minute. That's not a collectible. I'm using it. I need it to make the lights or something in the car. How is it a collectible? Or you're buying it for solar panels. Right? That's not a collectible. You're buying it, you're melting it down into paste and you're using it. So how is that a collectible? So I don't know. I argue with it that it's not a collectible. If I bought like a 1921 S, Mercury dime, okay, that's a collectible. I get you there. But if I'm just buying silver, especially bullion, how is that a collectible? It's not even dated. I mean, I was showing you yesterday. Anyway, so that's what we're looking at. We know the symptoms of things. It's part of the problem solving, or what's the problem and how do you solve it? So if you eat a lot of sugar or alcohol or smoke, you're going to get sick. It's not a question of will you, it's you will. I still see this guy at the health club, and he's a heavy guy, and we were talking at first. And I told him, you're diabetic. And he's got this one of these little patches on his chest, right? So he's got that plastic patch, here. And I said, well, you're diabetic. I can get you off of that if you want. If you choose to not be diabetic, I can show you how to do it. And I said, just fast and get off of sugar and carbs and high fructose corn syrup. Stop eating that. Eat a lot of fruits and veggies. Have all the meats, but don't have carbs and don't eat sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and do some fasting. And I'm going to cure him, right? Because that worked for me. And he, I see him about a week later, and he's still got the patch on his chest. So why do you still have that on? It's actually bad because it pumps insulin into your body. But the problem with insulin resistance, your cells can't take the insulin. It resists it. That's the point of it. Your cell's full of sugar and crap, and there's nowhere for the insulin to go into your cells. Hence, you need to fast and get off of sugar so your cells get back to normal, and then you can take that. So by producing insulin, it's terrible for you because it's just going into your body without going into your cells because your cells are full. They're resisting the insulin. And he says, well, I talked to my doctor about it, and my doctor said no. So I'm going to ignore what you said, and I'm going to listen to my doctor. And I've never talked to him again. He'll come up to me and say hi. I just stay stoic on him. I'm like, look, I tried to help you. You ignored my help. What's the word I'm thinking of? Not disappointed me, but you disrespected me, right? Because I told you what to do, but you don't believe me, and you go to your doctor and you trust your doctor over me, and you still have the patch on. So if you're not going to listen to me and you're going to disrespect me, I have there's no further conversation to have with you. People who disrespect you, why would you talk to them? It's the same thing here with Prophet. I give you the score of the Super Bowl, 27-13 or 30-10, right in that. It hits 29-13, and I got Prophet betting on New England. I mean, that's disrespectful, especially when I'm the handicapper for 50 years, right? I know what I'm doing. I'm highly professional. You should be taking my pick, betting it, and making money on it instead of going against me to say, aha, I had New England, you had Seattle, and I won and you lost, and I'm better than you, or whatever the fuck he's trying to do. It's very, very disrespectful, especially in my class. You want to email me, I like this and that. Look, I've already given you who I like and why. I broke the game down, gave you the fucking score, which missed by a point or two. Why are you not listening to me? What are you doing here then? Why do you come to class to not listen to me? I'm teaching you how to pick and what to look for, and you're going the other way because you want to tell me how good you can do a model or a algorithm or some sort of formula to pick the games, which I told you will never work. And Nick came on and said he tried it and it doesn't work, and you ignored us. And this is a class. So imagine you're taking a class and and they talk about inflation. And they say inflation's money printing, and you ignore them and you say, no, its price is going up. No, you're not in the class to object or you're smarter than the teacher. You're in the class to learn. I'm telling you what's happening. I'm teaching you what to look for and how to bet it, which you can't get anywhere else. Believe me, Mark McGuire. And you're coming up with, I'm taking New England to be contrarian, I guess. You don't give me a why, and you just lost money when all you had to do was listen to me and you'd have made money, which I'm sure a lot of people listened to me and made money on the game. We made money. All my customers made money. All my customers had Seattle and the under in the game. They come, they look at the picks, they take the picks, they bet it. Simple as that. They don't look at my picks and bet the other way. What's the point of that? Good luck if you do that. You're going to lose a lot of money. So anyway, that's the same disrespect. When people disrespect you, I don't talk to them. I don't have a conversation with them. There's no point in it. What am I talking to them about? If they're not going to listen to me, I don't really want to have conversations of how's the weather and it's really cold out and it's really warm out and the water's really cold. And I'm swimming laps and people get in. Oh, it's so cold. Well, what did you expect the water to be when you're going into a swimming pool to swim laps? What do you think it's going to be? Warm? Go in the hot tub if you think that. I mean, it's insanity. Oh, the water's too cold. I go right in the water. I take the steps down and I go right in and I start running. I don't hesitate, and then within 3 seconds, my body's fine. I'm not cold and I'm used to it. All right. So we understand basically cause and effect, problem solution, whatever you want to call it, with Comax. They're trying to short it to make money, the bankers, instead of just buying the physical. And then I don't know, JP Morgan bought all this physical. They did. It's to pay off these options because JP Morgan is too stupid to have bought the physical and not played the options in the first place. You're shorting, the price is going up because the supply is done and the demand's huge because of bricks. So why keep shorting? If you really knew what you were doing, JP Morgan, you would have been buying the physical silver like I did. I started in 1991. I bought a lot of these Highland Mint. Excuse me. I bought a lot of these Highland Mint players, Bobby Orr and Mantle, Montana and Jerry Rice and Jordan and that. So that was 1991, 92. I bought them for, I think, the silver were like $15 and the two-tone were like $25. Even though it's no difference, it's not real gold going on there, which you think it is. It's just sparkled. So you'd have been better off just buying the silver than the two-tone. But so I started back then buying silver. And I bought a little gold. Like I said, 1995, I bought this. And I bought a half ounce and 2/4 ounces and a tenth of an ounce. Kenji, how much is Olympic gold worth? I don't know. Is it 999? How many ounces are the metals? So are they actually giving him real gold or are they giving him gold plated? So I can't answer that question. All I can say is that's it. Now it'll probably have a value. What's going on? It'll probably have a value because it's an Olympic medal. Right. So the guy wins the Olympics and it's a gold medal. Well, just because it's a gold, it's like a Super Bowl ring. What's it worth? Well, it's a Super Bowl ring. It's worth a lot more than a regular ring, although they tend to put diamonds in the Super Bowl rings. But, so it's going to have an intrinsic value of its Joe Blow winning a gold medal. And then the gold also, if it's real gold, which I doubt, it's probably gold plated, especially now at 5,000 an ounce. There's probably, silver with gold plating to make it look like a gold medal. I don't know. Well, let's check. Let's Google it up. Modern Olympic gold medals contain 6 grams, about 0.19 to 0.21 ounces. So it's not even a 1/4 ounce of gold. Typically applied as plating over a core of silver. That's just what I said. So it's really silver with gold applied over it. So it's probably not anything. The remaining 500 plus grams of the metal are made of silver. And for the 2024 Paris Games, a small amount of iron. So your gold content is 6 grams of 24 karat, which is about 0.2. So there's your answer. So that's nothing. I like how it's silver. I like how it's silver with gold plating over it, basically. So it is some gold, but not solid gold. Which would make the gold 5,000 times 0.2, which is like $100 or something. So it's not worth a lot. It's worth more as an Olympic gold medal than it is because it's gold. So don't think it's an ounce of gold. Anyway, so people, So the banks are controlling COMEX, which we know, which then what do we do, owners of physical gold and silver? We know that's the smart move because we know the body's dead because of the inflation. They're printing the money, just like smoking cigarettes and alcohol is going to kill you. Um, the 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 gold, the printing of the money kills the money. And so we know, what do? We get out of that money into a different money. So everybody's talking the end of the financial system. It's not going to be the end of the financial system. All it is all these fiat currencies that aren't backed by anything, you need to now back by something. You got to back them by gold and silver. And that's all you do. And the financial, like in BRICS, the financial system's fine. They got gold backed currency. The yen will go out, the ruble will go out, and they'll use their gold backed currency. But everything works. The supply and demand still works. Say's law still works. It's just don't fuck up the money that you're using to get paid and to buy things. So money is really an essence to buy things and an essence to get paid. I go to work, I get money, and I use that to buy things. So that's the means of the end is I want to eat an avocado and toast and Canadian Club, and I want to buy gold and silver. I need something, but you can't screw it up. They're doing it on purpose, I think, to get out of the debt. So they're going to want to pay all these people that own the debt. They're going to want to pay them in money that isn't worth anything. And I guarantee you they're not going to take it. So we'll ruin the money, give 38 trillion to these people who own the bonds, and that's how we'll pay it out. So we'll ruin our dollar. It'll be worthless. What are you going to force people to take worthless dollars? They're not going to take it. And then you'll get out of your debt, even though the dollar will have no value. And that's what leads you to gold and silver will go through the roof. They'll become the real money, and it'll be gold-backed currency and silver-backed. The dollars will be backed by gold and silver, which will give them value. And that's their plan, I assume, is to get out of the debt by making the money worthless and then trying to pawn it off on you think China's going to take worthless money? And that's not going to happen. So that's why now they're dumping all the debt. So anybody with debt, they're dumping. China, Japan, Russia, India, anybody that owns it. Germany, Italy, France, they're all dumping the treasuries because they don't want to get caught with this money. So, but you keep printing, you keep having debt. So it's not like you can just print your way out of it because you keep having it. You keep printing because you can't afford the big government and the interest on the debt. So it's a nightmare scene. Anyway, just keep holding gold and silver and we'll be fine. Drugs are bad too, TK, even pharma stuff, pills. Yes, I know. I'm not listing everything that's bad for you. I watched an ad on TV. People are trying to Ozempic for weight loss and getting stomach issues bad from it. All of these drugs that they give you are bad for you. Opamides or something. Just about everything. Even antibiotics are really bad for you. Any of that stuff. You don't really want to take a lot of drugs. Maybe you got a headache, you take a Tylenol. When my foot hurts, I take something for gout. And that's the only time I take it. But that's why I eat healthy, is I don't get sick too often. And then if I do, I just do a 3 or 4 day fast. That's the drug you take, is that fasting. Your body will clean you up if you get out of its way. And that's the problem, right? Just don't take these. See, you take the drug for a quick fix. I want to do weight loss. Well, if you want to do weight loss fast, stop eating sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Stop eating yogurt and bread. If you want to lose weight, have a lot of veggies and steaks and chicken and salmon, and don't eat after 6. I mean, it's just don't eat a lot, especially after 6, and make sure you throw a 3 or 4 day fast and let your body eat your fat. And that's how you lose weight. Oh, no, I'll take this pill. That'll do it. These people are insane. So yeah, all this stuff is ridiculous. Yeah, it causes more issues than what you wanted it for. You shouldn't be taking it in the first place. You shouldn't take any of the drugs. I know people take weed for recreation. There's some of these other drugs for recreation, and they're pretty addicting. And or they drink. It's people are just they don't know. It's just like money. They don't know what to do with their money. So they go to an advisor, and you're doing it with health. You're going to a doctor who really doesn't know any of this. He goes to medical school. He's not learning fasting and that. He's whatever they teach there, and that's all he knows is what he's taught. So that's why when the guy at the club has the patch on his chest for insulin, the doctor doesn't have any idea that it's the sugar and the high fructose corn syrup and the carbs. And if he just goes on a veggie diet with a lot of meat and it's a lot of protein and fat and the veggies. And if you eat that and you just drink a lot of water and you don't eat after 6 and you don't eat until noon, so you're cutting down on your food, you're letting your body kind of fix itself, which your body will do. Like when you break your leg or your arm, the body fixes it, right? So it's the same principle. And that's it. So, had Mickey Mantle fasted, he wouldn't have needed a new liver. If he'd have done the 3-4 day fast and stopped drinking, and he would not have needed a liver because it would have been fine. It would have fixed itself. You watch that doctor channel I watch, Sven, and he goes through all that. And the liver will fix itself. The kidneys will fix themselves. Just let them get out of the way. Let the body fix it. Anyway, so the banks are just really corrupt. It's what's best for them. They don't care about the customers. You watch, they'll start, oh, I had money in the account and you can't get it, or the money I have in the account's worthless. And if they're trying to collapse the dollar on purpose to not pay the $38 trillion in debt, so the world is what, like 300 trillion in debt or more than that. Watching Egon had one of those. So what are we going to do? Make all the money, inflate all the money of the whole world and then say, the debt's gone. It doesn't work, because when you go to the new money, you'll still owe the debt. The U.S. isn't going to, here, China, here's $1 trillion in our fake currency. I don't want that. We're not going to take that. You say, no, we want real money. We want gold then. If you're giving us fake currency, everybody knows it's not worth anything. Get the wheelbarrows out. John C. Yeah, a lot of stuff is addictive, like opioids. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, opioids, which are really bad for you. Well, again, it's weird because you'd think the food people would want I know like chips are very addictive. You eat the whole bag. But if I have cauliflower, I eat 2 or 3 of them. Okay, I'm fine, or celery or something. But if you eat potato chips, stuff like that, or chocolate chip cookies or Oreos or Pop-Tarts or anything like that, if you eat that, it's very addictive. Right? So there's ingredients in there that makes it addictive to you. That's why one thing you try to avoid all that crap. But anyway, yeah, that's definitely the problem. But again, that's the dollar. The dollar's not healthy. Again, the smoking, or again, the printing of the money is like the smoking. It's you're going to kill the person, and in this case, you've killed the money, and therefore you have to own gold or silver as the way out. Now, I don't get what COMEX is doing here, as COMEX is keeping the gold and silver down. Instead of letting the free market control it. So if I went to a coin store and there's a line for gold and he raises the prices, people would still buy it. You have to buy it because you can't hold dollars. So the price would go up dramatically. What is here? It's a whisker. So the price would go up dramatically because it doesn't matter what the price is. Price of silver was 25, people were buying it. 50, people are buying it. 80, people are buying it. 100, people are buying it. Because you have to get out of the dollar as they're crushing it on purpose. So because as their thought of getting out of the debt. So you have to get into gold and silver. So it doesn't matter what the price is. $20, $50, $200, you're going to buy silver. Gold's getting more pricey, but if you have the money, you're going to choose gold. It's more limited. It's the gold standard. If you have the option, you buy gold. That's 5,000. It's still being bought. It was being bought at 2,000. It was being bought at 3,000. It was being bought at 4,000. It's being bought at 5,000. That's why it's going to go to 8. It's going to go to 10, and it's going to go to 20, because as more people are clued in and realizing their dollar, but now it's the euro and the British pound and the Swiss franc are all worth nothing. You have pound. Egon thinks it's money, it's prices. So the Swedish dollar, the Swiss dollars is better than the other dollars. No, Egon, you're still printing that to death. Don't kid yourself. It's not backed by anything. It's worthless. So really, that's what you do. All right. So that's why we buy gold and silver. It doesn't matter the price. The dollar has taken the drugs and it's gone. It's sick. It's dying. And there's no fix. There's no fix for the dollar except Mr. Gold and Silver. So if they started backing the dollar by gold and silver, it would make a miraculous recovery. That would be fasting, but it doesn't. So it's not going to make anything. All right. So I mentioned, so let's talk football. You're looking at the same features. You're looking at the team's dead because of who they have on it. The coach, the quarterback sucks. And therefore, the team sucks. Therefore, you bet against them. I think the biggest wild card, especially in college, if you're betting football, is the injury. So you're betting on this team, and you're betting on Utah, and the quarterback gets hurt. And here comes Cam Rising, who we have no idea who he is. Now there's risk. Wait a minute, they've replaced the quarterback, but we don't know anything about Cam Rising. We don't know if he's good or if he's bad. And that's the problem, right? So now you got to step back. Did he make the team better or did he make the team worse? Just because he's the backup doesn't mean he can't play. And he was great. And then we started betting the over on him. And then you have other quarterbacks who stink. And that's the problem. So the injury is probably the biggest variable in betting football games. If Mahomes is there, everybody's good and everybody's there. Okay, fine. You're okay. Then you know how to analyze the patient, right? What's their strength and their weakness? What's their rating? Can they beat this other team? What's the matchup? Does this other team have this great defense or a weak defense, which is shown in the other games. So you watch enough games, you go, oh, they got a bad defense, the Lions, Cincinnati. And you go to these other games and you go, oh, shit, they got a great defense like Seattle, like Houston. So you can see that their strength is defense. Now, you still got to keep up with the injuries. But otherwise, you know the coach, you know the quarterback, you know the defense. Houston's problem, C.J. Stroud, they won't address it. I think these coaches today think they can develop the quarterbacks, But you don't develop them by playing them. You develop them by having them watch film, like Aaron Rodgers. He sat behind Brett Favre for a couple of years. That was development. He was learning what to do and what not to do, and he steps in and he's fine. Or Jordan Love watched Rodgers, so he was theoretically developing, but he didn't develop very good. He's not very good. You throw Daniels into the mix, and he's fine. You throw Caleb into the mix, and he struggles the first year, and he kind of struggles last year. Yes, he had a lot of miracle throws, which are basically, I'm going to scramble around and play playground football, and I'm going to, and the guy's being covered, and all of a sudden the guy goes behind, and this guy's still looking at the quarterback this way, and that's all he was doing. That's just playground football. That's not real football. It's not NFL. You go out and cut across the middle, and I'm going to hit it to you. I mean, the Bears aren't doing that. The Bears are running the ball very nicely, and Caleb has the way to escape. So if I'm playing the Bears, I'm gonna bring in some. I'm gonna take out my linebackers and bring in safeties, and I'm gonna use their speed, because when Caleb starts running around, they'll be fast enough to tackle him. They used to do that against Lamar. San Diego did it in the playoff game. Lamar was like 2 of 25 for 5 yards, and San Diego beat them like 20-0. And I don't know why teams don't do that all the time. Miami did that, and they shut him out. So I don't know. That would be my game plan against Lamar. Just blitz him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a guy that will never develop because he just doesn't have the skill set. He's fast. That doesn't make you a quarterback. Quarterback's designed by that. Oh, there was a Tom Brady one. I want to show you this. I was watching it yesterday, and this basically sums it up. All right, so this is Tom Brady on quarterbacks.
You go into the NFL draft and everyone's like, look at this guy's skill set. He's really fast. He's really big. Look at the NFL draft and everyone's like, look at this guy's skill set. He's really fast. He's really big. Look how strong an arm he throws. Oh my God, he was on his knees and he threw the ball 70 yards. But I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Is he smart enough to take in information, process it, and use it on the field? Has he mastered the playbook? Does he know how to study? Does he know how to learn from his mistakes? And then emotionally, is he competitive every day? Is he really volatile as a leader? Does he know how to deal with adversity? Does he know how to deal with competition? How does he react when things don't go his way? What's going to happen when he throws 4 interceptions a game? How's he going to respond to that? So if you don't have those, because as you guys know, when you play sports, adversity is coming. It may not be your first year. It may not be your second year. It will come at some point. And the best players I've ever been around, they know how to deal with all parts of those emotions.
So that's what I've been saying. That's really when I say the quarterback's good or bad. That's what I mean. Lamar's really fast, great. Or Josh Allen can throw the ball 80 yards, great. It doesn't make him a quarterback. Joe Montana knew how to throw it to the right receivers. They knew how to read defenses. That's what Brady did. That's what you're looking for. A guy who gets to the line, knows where he's going to throw, takes 3 steps back and fires. And when they're blitzing, he throws right where the blitz is. And I do not see Caleb do that, or Jalen Hurts, or C.J. Stroud, or Lamar, or most of these quarterbacks do not know how to do that. Now, when they get drafted, well, we'll develop him. We'll teach him that. Is he capable of learning it? I would have a hard time. You're going to hire me. Well, Howard, you got to do French. I'm really not good at languages. I'd have a hard time learning French. I mean, it's just the things that uh, why develop a quarterback? Get one that is developed. But in the college game now, they're not developing anybody. Um, they don't even know what they're just seeing a guy who's mobile and they're drafting him. All I hear in Detroit is, "Oh, Jared Goff isn't mobile." Well, no, Jared Goff's a choke. Jared Goff can't really read defenses. He's a choke, and there's nothing you can do. You can't develop a choke when the pressure's on and he gets nervous. He doesn't perform, and there's nothing you can do about it. And he's never won a big game. No, winning the playoff game against Tampa is not winning a big game. Winning a big game would have been the Niner game. And even there, he had a good first half. He didn't show up in the second half. And the coach didn't rise to the occasion. Fourth and whatever against this number one defense. We'll go for it. Kick the field goal, idiot. Well, I'm aggressive. Well, but not in this case. You got to kick the field goal. Aggression's got nothing to do with it. You're trying to win the game. The smart play is kick your field goal and get your points. If you notice in the Super Bowl, New England never went on fourth down, and Seattle didn't go on fourth down. They kept kicking field goals. We'll take the points. We'll take the points. They got a good defense. That's taking us 3-0, 6-0, 9-0, 12-0. They kicked 4 field goals, and they never went for it because to win, you need points. So the coaches need to develop, but they keep going after these quarterbacks. See, I see Dagiopava as a guy who's polished. Good arm, good legs, can read a defense, and he's a winner, right? He sees the open guy, and he can scramble enough, but he's got a good arm, and he knows who to throw to. I doubt Mendoza is ready. Again, when he was at Cal, his junior year, he was 16 touchdowns, 6 picks. All right, had a good year at Indy. They also had a great defense. They had a great running attack. So he didn't really do anything. He threw an interception in the Penn State game, and in the Oregon game, he threw a pick 6. So I don't know what you see in Mendoza that says he's the number 1 pick. Just like Cam Ward. I did not see anything that said Cam Ward is the number 1 pick. I wouldn't have drafted him in the first round. Well, we'll develop him. No, this is why the GMs and the coaches get fired every other year, because you're drafting guys and then you don't know how to develop them because you can't. Cam Ward is what he is. He sucked at Washington State. He goes to Miami. All right, he has a good year. Great. He's not a number 1. You got to look at the whole scheme, and then he's not very good. Now he goes to Tennessee. They win 2 games. Oh, you really develop him. Well, you don't develop him playing him. Why do they Oakland's going to draft Mendoza and start him? You think Mendoza is ready for that? There's no fucking way. He's going to sit there the first year and they're going to win 2 games. He's not going to develop at all. And you're going to say, yeah, I guess that missed. We need a quarterback. Just like Caleb. Caleb didn't develop. He still stinks. Drake May, well, he didn't show up against Denver. He didn't show up against Houston, really. And he didn't show up in the Super Bowl. So did you develop Drake May? No. Was he better? Well, he had some good games against the Jets in Miami, the Giants, New Orleans, against those teams. But he didn't really, until Houston, he didn't really play a good defense in Denver. The last 2 games was the only, because they played the weak schedule. So did he develop? I don't know. We'll see this year. They're going to get the hard schedule. They'll be lucky to go 9-8. The NFL's got some serious issues with this scheduling. You cannot let Kansas City play every hard team. And then New England played one team, Buffalo. And, when New England makes the Super Bowl, where KC's the better team, by a mile, KC's the better team. If they would have played the weaker teams, they would have probably went 12-5. So that's really what you're looking at as far as football figuring out. So you can't look, and that's why I get so upset when these guys, Cam Ward, the number one pick, and I'm like, what are you guys on drugs? What do you mean the number one pick? This guy's not a number one pick. He's not a first or second round pick. Switzerland has almost no silver. Why would you say that? How do you know? What are you basing that on? I'm sure Switzerland has silver. I would bet they do. So that's kind of a stupid a stupid comment. I mean, based on what? Does silver have no silver? Anyway, so it's easy, like even offensive linemen, it's hard to develop them. You really need a good coaching staff who can develop them. But what do you see? These offensive coordinators every year switch. The defensive coordinators every year switch. It's becoming very minor league, very unprofessional. Could you imagine you're running a company and you have a CFO and every year he leaves, you got to get a new CFO and a new IT manager, and you're switching software and hardware every year. Yeah, you probably wouldn't be too successful as a company. You've got to be stable. We're getting a new, let's say you get a new wife every year. How good are the relationships going to be? You'll compare them to the first wife, the second wife, the third wife. Is the chemistry there? So it's very difficult to keep replacing people and keeping the concept good. So, Mr. McDaniel said Switzerland has almost. Oh, you're the one who said that. So how do you know that? And why are you laughing about it? I'm sure they can get it if they want it, but I know they're a refinery, so I know they refine gold and silver, but I know they got a lot of gold, so I don't know about no silver. So please back that up with whatever you're saying that, because you have no way of knowing that. We don't know how much gold and silver we have in the U.S. Anyway, so that's the problem in the NFL. You don't have the development. Then you have a lot of backups. And then you have, like I said, the coordinators leaving every year. And then it exposes how bad the coaches are. Like the Lions with Campbell, he wasn't any good. Then he promotes Ben Johnson, and they do great. And he takes the credit for Ben Johnson. Naughty boy. Then Ben Johnson leaves. And now we see how bad Campbell really is. And then we see how good Ben Johnson is by taking the Bears should have been to the championship game. If they had a quarterback, Caleb throws 3 picks and won in overtime, which made the Rams win. If they had a good quarterback, Caleb takes them down, kicks the field goal. We got the Bears in Seattle in what would have been a good game. But the Rams should have beat Seattle, except for the punt guy. And I would assume they get rid of the punt guy. He's already fired his special teams coach, so we'll see what happens. But how do you not have a good guy catching punts that you don't have confidence in, or fumbles? You can't fumble in the fourth quarter in a championship game. You're going to go work at Kroger's. I mean, there's no room for you're a choke. We can't have chokes on the team. You just let everybody down, and you cost us the Super Bowl. Anyway, so that's the point. So that's why a lot of these quarterbacks I just laugh at, because they're there to get to develop. And how are they going to develop? Tell me how Caleb's going to develop, and tell me how Drake May's going to develop, and tell me how CJ Stroud didn't develop, and tell me Bo Nix, he's got Sean Payton. That's how he's developing. He's got the right guy at coach who's not leaving. Stafford obviously has developed. Jared Goff never developed. He's still 5 interception games in the big games. You can't teach not choking in the big games, and that's what golf does. He chokes in the big games. So you can't. He's never developed. He's been in the league 10 years. He still sucks. He still is good against the weak teams. So you think, oh, look, he can throw a completion over the middle to St. Thomas. Oh, great. Well, let's put him in a big game against Minnesota with no quarterback, and he throws 5 picks. That's the problem. That means he hasn't developed. And, it's a Brady, it's a Rodgers, it's a Montana. Those are the guys that got developed. Troy Aikman wasn't that good, but he developed under Jimmy Johnson because Jimmy Johnson developed him. Jimmy Johnson was very good at developing offensive linemen and defense. All his defenses, from Oklahoma State to Miami of Florida and college to the Cowboys, they had developed defenses, very strong, number 1, number 2 defenses, a lot of picks, a lot of sacks. They were developed. The Niners did that with Bill Walsh. Their defense got very developed with Ronnie Lott and everything. So, you really want to take players that are already developed by their coaches. That's why you look at the coaches in college. You go, oh, this is a good one, and that's the guy I want to draft players from. That's why Nick Saban drafted a lot of defensive players, or Georgia has a lot of defensive players. They're already developed. When Philadelphia drafted all those Georgia defensive players, 6 of them, they go win a Super Bowl. I think they were in another one the first year. They were developed. You don't have to develop them. And so really that's why basketball sucks, because these guys are one and dones. They're not developed. They don't know anything about basketball. They were good in high school, big fucking deal. There's a little difference between high school and the pros, and they need to develop. And that's why you need at least 3 years in college. Larry Bird, by the way, played 4 years of college. Magic played 2, but he was developed for what he needed as a point guard. He never really developed defensively, but as a point guard, he was great in the fast break. He was developed. He learned that in high school, but he developed quickly. Kareem developed the sky hook. Okay, so you go on, and then in football, it's, well, we'll draft a mobile quarterback. Anthony Richardson of Indy. Guy's terrible, but he can run. Yeah, but I need a quarterback who can throw the ball, because the guys on defense can run too, but they can't necessarily cover. Sometimes you can't, no matter what, you're going to have great coverage and you still complete the pass. And then they bring in Daniel Jones, who's terrible. I don't know how they ever drafted him. I don't get drafting whatchamacallit on from Old Man, the guy on the Giants. I can't think of his name. This second. What's his name? Where are the Giants? Oh, yeah, Jackson Dart. He's not developed. He gets back and he wants to run. See, all these quarterbacks that go back and then run aren't developed, because you should be throwing the ball. It's a blitz. You should be throwing it to your outlet receiver. You should be reading the blitz and going, 74. And then it says to the guy to go, the cornerback's blitzing off the right tackle, go there, I'm going to throw you the ball. That's a developed quarterback. Stafford, Rodgers, Brady, they're all going to do that. How many times in the New England-Seattle Super Bowl did we see Brady call audibles and hit Wes Walker on these little 5-yard passes? He saw the blitz coming and he read it, and that's what he did. And that's Tom Brady's thing, is he reads the defense. It's about reading the defense and knowing where to go with the ball, not, I'm gonna be Jackson Dart, I'm gonna go back to pass and there's nothing open and they're rushing and I'm gonna run and get 5 concussions, or JJ McCarthy. You think JJ McCarthy's developed? You wasted a first-round pick on JJ McCarthy, who all he did at Michigan was hand the ball off. That's it. Nothing. He's not I don't know where you're looking that he's developed or the fact you think you can develop him. You really want to take a risk on an 8th pick in the draft on a quarterback who's not developed to develop him? He's your backup. He's your who's the guy? Willis. Okay, Willis got developed at Green Bay. They developed him a little bit, and now he looked pretty good in that one game. And when Love got hurt, but Love isn't developed yet. But Willis is getting developed. So if you get the right coach, but you don't make the head coach the offensive coordinator. You got to make the offensive coordinator, or you get a quarterback coach to develop the quarterback. So, I would hire Joe Montana to develop, CJ Stroud or develop Cam Ward. That would be okay. That's what I would do, but I certainly wouldn't play them. Cam Ward would be sitting on the bench, and Joe Montana would be going, okay, you see that play, you see this is what you're looking for. You see the guy blitzed. That's how he develops. But in the game, he's not developing at all. And without the right aid, he had a bad coach. So they brought in a different coach. He sucked too. Tennessee was terrible. Would they win 2-3 games? Look at Oakland. They didn't develop. They brought in Coach Pete. They brought in, Chip Kelly. But you went to Geno Smith, who was never developed. You didn't have a defense. Well, the defense showed up sometimes. You didn't have an offensive line. That's all I heard from the Raider guy. Oh, the offensive line isn't. Okay, you drafted 2 guys. You did a bad job drafting, I guess. You did a bad job developing them. Shad, Swiss franc has been holding up the best lately. I believe silver will do miraculous things during future currency revaluations always. John C., what are you, the greeter? You say hello to these people? So what do you mean by it has no silver? You didn't answer that question. Swiss franc has been holding up the best lately. It's worthless. It's not backed by anything. If it's not backed by anything, it's not holding up. Silver will do miraculous things during future currency revaluations. I don't know if the currency is getting revalued. It's called inflation. And silver is, of course, physical gold and silver will do great. I mean, that's the point of it. That's why you own it. And it goes up because the dollars are worthless. So you have a dollar here. You have this is worthless, but yet silver and gold have not gone up yet because COMEX keeps pushing the price down. So as soon as we kill COMEX, then this will go to 1,000, 2,000 an ounce. Absolutely. And gold will be 10 to 20,000 an ounce. We get that. So the dollar is not being revalued. The dollar is being inflated and has no value. You're killing the value of the dollar, and now it's come up with a new dollar. You're not revaluing it. You're just coming up with something new. So you better have the dollar backed by gold or silver if you want it to keep value. Otherwise, the dollar, what most countries do, Zimbabwe and Venezuela and Germany and all those came out with number 2. So Germany in the 20s had a Reichsmark, came out with a Deutschmark. That held the hyperinflation for a little bit, for a few years. By 1932, Hitler's in power, and it's worthless again. So people catch on. The key's got to be backed by gold and silver. That's why Hitler went after the central banks, and he stole all the gold and silver from all the countries he invaded. That was the point of the invasion. He needed money, so he stole their gold. So he had enough tanks, and the other countries weren't even looking at war. Poland, Czechoslovakia weren't trying to go to war with anybody. So here comes the Nazis in with their tanks and their planes and all their men. And it was a blitzkrieg because there was nobody there. So they just went and they drove right to the central bank and they went right into the vault and they stole all the gold and silver. That was the Nazi game plan, which we're following right now in Iran and Venezuela. We take over Venezuela to these to come to the conclusion, yeah, the oil is not worth anything. Now, they really didn't take it over. I think it was a vacation for the president. He didn't, it was all planned. It was all bullshit. But I wouldn't say Switzerland doesn't have any silver. Just hold physical and watch it go up. So anyway, that's what you're trying to do, is develop the players. Now, if they go to a good college and they go 3 or 4 years, I would draft them. I wouldn't get a guy, all right, let's look at Arch Manning. Why do they think he's good? He's not developed. He runs too much. He's not a good quarterback. All right, it's not really impressive when a quarterback goes back to pass, doesn't know what he's doing, and then the line kind of opens up and he runs for 20 yards. That is not a good quarterback. That's a bad quarterback. If he understood what he was doing, he would have taken 3 steps back or 4 steps back and thrown the ball, called an audible and said, go to the right sideline or go over the middle and I'll hit you. And as simple as that. So because Arch Manning's running all over the place does not make him a good quarterback. How many playoff games has Lamar won? Oh, yeah, 1, maybe 2 against Houston. Does not make Lamar a good quarterback because he stinks. Why is Mahomes so good? Because he can read the defense. He knows where to throw the ball, where the weak spot is in the defense. He's developed that. And so that's where we go. So when we're betting football, we're looking for the developed quarterback. That's why I look at the stats. Oh, he threw, 35 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Yeah, that's my guy. That's Tagovailoa. Mendoza he was 16-6 at Cal, and last year was like 31-7 or something like that. So he was better, but it was a different team. Good defense, good running. They bad interceptions against Penn State and against Oregon, a pick 6, and against Ohio State. I'm sure he had a pick or 2 or something. They only won 13-10. So that's what you have. You have coaches that aren't developed. They go for 4th downs. 4th and 2 at our own 30. Let's go for it. Because if we can't gain 2 yards on a 4th down against a great defense, we don't deserve to win. Oh, really? That's how you determine if you deserve to win? You're an idiot. I mean, basically, that's the problem. These coaches are terrible. No, you play smart. You play to your defense. If you don't have a defense, then you're fucked anyway. But if you have a good defense, like Houston against New England in the playoff, you don't let C.J. Stroud throw 5 picks. That's bad. You go to your strength. You just hand the ball off and just punt the ball, and you're gonna play a 7-6 game. You open it up a little, but you can't let C.J. Stroud throw the ball all around, throw for 5 picks and a pick 6 when you have the number 1 defense. Are you insane? So the coach needs to go because he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe make him he was a good defensive coordinator at San Francisco. Maybe he's not a good head coach. He's a good defensive coordinator because they do have a very good defense. But as a coach, he sucks. You do not let C.J. Stroud do that. You can't allow him to throw 5 picks in a playoff game. After 2, you bring in Davis Mills or you just run the ball. But you can't let him throw pick 6s on stupid plays that cost it. That's the coach. This is why you have such bad coaches, right? The coach is terrible. The quarterback's terrible. You really don't have professionals out there, and you're trying to sell it like that. I mean, I don't think there's 32. There's 32 teams. There's certainly not 32 NFL quarterbacks out there. NFL quarterbacks, you probably have 10, maybe. Your Stafford, your Rodgers, your Mahomes, Josh Allen. I am not including Darnold in that stack, or Drake May, or Caleb, or any of these clowns. So Joe Burrow, so maybe Bo Nix, Daniels. That's it. That's about all the pros you actually have. So you've got to keep in mind who you're betting on. You're betting on weak quarterbacks. Why would you want to bet on that? It's like betting on a weak hand in poker. I know I'm kind of going to combine them two, but if I have a weak hand in poker, do I really want to bet it? Well, it'll be a bluff. Well, yeah, but the guy has a full house. I really don't want to bet. I don't want to bet into a full house. So I got to bluff into a marginal hand. Now I've seen where that works, the bluffing aspect where you have 5-7 and the guy has ace queen, but he hasn't connected. And then I can make a big bet and he'll fold because he assumes I at least have a pair. That kind of bluff I kind of get. But you got to be careful. If you're bluffing into a guy with ace queen and there's an ace on the board, he's got aces, you can't bluff him. You got to know when you can bluff. And in football, you got to know when you're betting these teams. Who are we betting against? Oh, against the Jets. Yeah, we can bet against the Jets. We can bet against Oakland and San Diego. These are bad teams. We can bet against them. That's fine. But you don't want to bet against the Rams and Buffalo too often, or Kansas City too often, or Philadelphia when they don't have their heads up their ass. So again, this is what we're dealing with. DK, did you think Warren Moon was good? Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was good at Washington when they played Michigan in the Rose Bowl. He had a great day. Michigan had a great defense. I don't know why he had to go play CFL, but he won 5 championships. So he was a winner. That's what you're looking for. Never had a good defense for him. Well, a lot of teams are like that. They don't develop both ends of the ball. And that's our lesson on handicapping. What do? We look at Seattle. Great defense, pretty good offense. They're an A team. We can bet on them. And that's why we look. The Jets are a Z team. No offense, no defense. If they don't have a defense, how are they going to stop the offense? And if you're going up against Seattle or Houston with this great defense, you're not going to move the ball because your quarterback sucks. So you're looking at all that. That's why you look at it. Can Team A move on Team B, and can Team B move on Team A? That's the first thing you're looking at because you want to see how the game's going to go. And, some can't. Like the Rams can move on anybody. Oh, is that Mahomes? He'll move on anybody. Joe Burrow will move on anybody. Aaron Rodgers pretty much will move on anybody. I don't know why everybody's giving him a hard time. He's good, great quarterback, much better than what you have in the league. Can Lamar move on anybody? No. That's the problem, right? Can Caleb move on anybody? No, but they can run the ball. So you start looking at the quarterbacks and you get to Minnesota and you go, what are they doing? You got rid of Darnold and you had Kirk Cousins before him, and then you go to J.J. McCarthy, who can't move on anybody. He wants to run around a little bit, and he's always injured. Yeah, this is the NFL. You're going to get hit. You can't get injured every fucking time you get hurt. Or Jackson Dart, who's had 3 concussions in the first year and played in a few games. Is he going to read the defense? And, so you got to be very careful about that. So that's what you're looking at, the strength and the weakness. And as I just said in poker, so we'll blend that in. So again, when you're picking football, that's what you're looking at, strength and weakness. But we see the quarterback that's developed, Mahomes and Burrow and guys like that. And then we see the ones that aren't developed, Goff and C.J. Stroud and, Jackson Dart and J.J. McCarthy, Love. These guys are terrible. Love. Well, yeah, eventually they're going to complete passes, but why do I say Love? Okay, look at him in the Bear game. He gets the lead, and then why didn't they keep scoring? And that's the problem. It's like golf in the Niner game. He's up. 17 points. What happened in the second? They didn't score at all till the last 2 minutes, and they got a late touchdown, down 10 that the Niners gave them. So you got to play both halves of the game. And the bigger the game, the more he chokes. He can't read. He fumbled. Couldn't hand the ball off to the guy. So this is the problem. You're betting golf to beat the Niners, and you're in big trouble. I actually had the over in that game because I couldn't really trust Purdy, but I know I couldn't trust golf because I know he's a choke. And I watched him choke in college, and once you choke, you choke. You can't get away from it. Darnold, okay, he won a Super Bowl. He choked against the Lions 2 years ago, and then he choked in the playoff game to the Rams. Well, they knew how to get him off his spot, and that's what New England was doing. They were blitzing him all the time. And for his credit, he was able to kind of complete a few passes. So maybe Darnell is the unique one to choke and then not choke. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, that's what you got going on in football. You're analyzing. That's why you analyze the coach, the quarterback, the defense. If they have a star running back or receiver helps, especially a running back. Running back now gives you two dimensions, and that's what you want in football. You want a good running game and a good passing game, like Seattle. Kenneth Walker and Smith and Jimba didn't do anything, but Cooper Kupp had a big game. So that's what you're looking for, right? If you got that balance and you have that defense, you just wear out the sports book betting on Seattle. That's what you're looking for. That's your bitch. KC with Mahomes. And they always had a good defense with Spagnuolo. So that's what we looked at. So you've got to read the team and see who you have. It's like reading the player in poker. Oh, wait, he's looking weak. He's checking. He looks nervous. He's weak. I'm going to bet into him because he looks weak. Well, it's the same thing in football. The team is the New York Jets suck. So I'm going to start betting against the New York Jets, and I'm going to make a lot of money. And that's my key to winning. For 50 years? Find a good bet on Montana. Bet on Lawrence Taylor. Bet on Jimmy Johnson. And it was the same story. Mapping the teep out. Betting on when the Niners were really good, they had a number one defense and Joe Montana. And they would just pound you. 84, 85, I don't know what happened. I don't remember, but it was the Bears. The Bears had McMahon. McMahon missed the 84 game. It was the guy from Missouri was the quarterback. I can't think of his name. Who wasn't bad, but McMahon was much better. But when McMahon played in 85, that's why they won the Super Bowl. With that defense and Walter Payton and the throwing and Willie Gault, nobody was going to beat him. But then he kept getting injured, and McMahon never really was around for 86 or 87 in the playoffs. Lawrence Taylor, they won without a quarterback. Phil Simms sucked. And they ran the ball, and basically it was just, we're playing to our strength. That's our defense. That's Lawrence Taylor. Let's play to him. That's why I laugh at Houston. You had this defense, and you still and you throw 5 picks. Are you insane? Who's your coach? You're fired. You're an idiot. You can't learn to be smart. Either you're smart or you're not. Either you realize you have this great defense or you don't. If you don't see it, then you can't be my coach. But I need somebody with brains who realizes we have this great defense, and I'm going to play to it. Now, maybe the coach set the defense up and knew the schemes. Okay, keep him as your defensive coordinator, but he can't be your head coach. He's an idiot. Saleh, now defensive coordinator, was great at the Niners, made the mistake of going to the Jets, and then he come back to the Niners. Now he's going to Tennessee. What's this guy? Idiot? You can't coach. You're a good defensive coordinator. You're a lousy head coach. And now you go to Tennessee to be a head coach. And you'll be back at the Niners in 2 years as their defensive coordinator because there's not a chance in hell it's going to work. You couldn't win with Aaron Rodgers. You're certainly not going to win with Cam Ward. Are you kidding me? TK, you have any Mano rookies or Jordan rookies? No, I don't. So really that's how you're breaking the game down and analyzing. But you're doing the same in poker. You're looking at the player, his strength and his weakness. He's hard to read. He's easy to read. When he has a good hand, he makes a big bet. Otherwise, he checks. How does he do on the flop? Does he bet? I got aces. I'm not going to slow play because I know enough that aces are nothing hand if all 5 cards are dealt. So I got to bet to get the 3 9s out, the 6 7, a dime of the Daniel Negreanu's out because of the way the flop hits. And then I'm going to, I could lose if I leave 5 guys in. I only want to play heads up with aces. It's about winning. You're not, put it this way. People want to make like $1 million. I'm happy making $500. When I had the gold stocks, what did I do? I bought 1,000 shares of Newmont Mining at 42 after the 10 o'clock drop. As it started going up, I then bet, and I bought the 1,000 shares at 42 and a quarter, and it went up to 43. I can see the trend going up, and then the trend starts this, and it starts dropping, and I get out. Because I was happy to make 700-800 a day than trying to make $1 million. Oh, I'll just hold it. Well, I know it's going to go down at 10 o'clock the next day, so I can't really stay in it long. Now, today, the 10 o'clock went up, but I did notice the 11 o'clock started going down. So that's the key to it, right? You're looking at the trend. You're analyzing it. So in football, we see everything. We see the points for, the points against. We see what the quarterbacks do. We say, oh, it's Mahomes. Oh, it's the Jets. Justin Fields. Yeah, probably betting against him. He stinks. He's never been developed. I mean, he's the same thing. He's got great tools. He looked great at Ohio State, but he gets in the pros, and the shit he did at Ohio State, you can't do in the pros. The linebackers are faster than you are. You can't just look at the line. You can't just hand off. You're not going to get anything. And then if you want to throw the ball, you got coverage here. This isn't, Ohio State. You're not playing Purdue where they don't have, a good secondary. They got pros in the secondary and the pros. So you see Fields and Stroud struggle because at Ohio State they don't develop their quarterback. Same thing with Alabama. They're all sucky. Now maybe they get better because they have a good coach who developed Michael Penix. That's why they drafted Penix. He was developed. Bo Nix pretty much developed. He's not bad. I don't know why they think he's bad. Mahomes was developed. He played at Texas Tech. So that's where you go as you look at the coach, and he'll develop you. But Ohio State, I would run from their quarterbacks. They're never going to be any good. And the same thing with Alabama. Now, again, maybe with this coach. So you're looking at poker, you're seeing who's developed the game. It's the same thing. Why are the pros so good is because not that they're better than anybody, but they'll mix it up. They understand, like I tell you, I understand when people are trying, you're going to read me. So I'm going to give you fake tells. Why has nobody else thought of that? They're all trying to hide their Philhelmuth. He's like this, oh, don't look at me. And you don't need to. I can just sit there like this. I'm going to smile. And what do you think it is? Oh, but I'm going to smile when I bluff, and I'm going to smile when I got a full house. So my smile is now a meaningless tell. I'm giving you a meaningless tell. So in poker, the pros, you don't even look at their faces. They're not going to give you the tell. It's the betting. And again, the better the player, they're gonna read you differently. So if I make a big bet, they're gonna read me as, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's probably got a good hand, and they'll fold their hand based on me making a bet, but it's really a bluff. I just saw that. I was watching on YouTube. and the guy had nothing against ace queen. The flop came nothing. So neither player has anything. The guy's got ace queen, which is a very weak hand after the flop. And then the guy makes a big bet, and then here comes the river, and still nothing to nothing. And the guy with the 5-8 makes another big bet. The ace queen folds because he figures, well, he's obviously got me beat. I don't have anything. And that's probably the only way you can bluff, because you're playing good players. They're gonna, oh well, he's got a flush or he's got this. To say they're reading you and you looked weak, Mike Manasow says that, and you're like, me on drugs? What do you mean you can read me? You can't read me. You looked weak. Based on what? How did I look weak? Oh, you turn your head, you did that, your shoulders. You're like, oh, bullshit. I'm the same every hand. You can't, So the real good players just don't give you a change of pace unless they want to. Daniel Negreanu, he talks. When he has nothing or he's bluffing, he talks. And then he goes in with these stupid 8-9 of diamonds. And if he catches 3 diamonds, he's got the flush anyway, so you're not going to pay him off. But he'll go in, and then he starts yapping. So what do you have? This, I love how after the hand, well, what did you have? Did you pay to see it? No. So why the fuck am I telling you? That's the whole point, is you don't know my cards. Why would I tell you? They ask you because they don't know what you had. So you're ahead of the game. Why would you tell them? You've got them. They don't know what you had. So again, poker, the cash games versus the tournament. The tournaments, you get blinded out. So at the end, you just start going all in with bullshit. I got a pair of 4s, but I don't have a lot of blinds left, so I'm going all in. That's not poker to me. Winning a tournament is about really waiting for the hand. It's mostly luck. It's mostly, I have ace king, I'm going to go all in, and I hope I catch an ace or a king, and the other guy doesn't, and I win. I mean, all these tournaments are just a joke, because you play really good until like the blinds get really high, and then when the blinds get really high, now it's all luck. I'm going to go all in. He's going, okay, I'm going to call you. And then, I got a pair of 4s, I got ace king, and then what hits? Does an ace or a king hit? Does a straight hit? Does a flush hit? Does the third 4 hit? It's all luck. Cash games are a little different because the don't go up. So now you got to be cagey, and you're trying to mix it up. Well, I'll bet with my aces one hand, and the next hand I won't bet with my aces. Where I'd be consistent, I'd always bet with my aces, or I'd never bet with my aces. So there's that trap, but you got to be careful. You can trap yourself. And as I say, aces aren't that good of a hand after the river. So I dealt a lot of cards, and I played a lot of poker. And what I notice is how little aces win, or how little one pair wins when all 5 cards are out there. Right? When all 5 cards are out there, and I have my share right now. I'm preferring to put my money into gold and silver than to play poker. I made some decent money at poker. Poker's a little too boring for me, a little too slow. If I go down to MGM and I'm getting 2-9, and I just folding, and I'm getting every hand 2-9. I mean, well, like that. I'll just fold. I'll sit there an hour and a half, and I'm too stoic now, and I'll just say, I'm just wasting my time, because I'm not trying to win $1 million. When I go with 300 and play 1-2 no limit or 1-3 no limit, if I make $100, that's expectations, right? Oh, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make 500,000. I mean, you've got to realize you're not, right? You play 1-2 no limit, you're going to get burned. People will flop sets on you. Fortunately, they will tell you they flopped a set by check raising you. And it's just, you've got to learn the other players. That's the same thing as learning the dollars collapsing. The dollar's worthless. So how do you know? Because they're printing too much of it, because they got all these expenses that they don't have money for. The big government, the interest on the debt, the Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and the defense contractors. They got a big budget with them for some reason. So I don't know what it is with this love affair with the defense contractors. Let's have a war so Northrop can sell a bunch of missiles. Really? So we need wars so the defense contractors can make a lot of money. Who's running this country? The defense contractors or the banks? Which one's running the country? My bet's the banks. But it's the same thing. I'm not going to make a lot. I'm not trying to make $1 million if I go down. If I went tonight, if I went down to MGM, yeah, I'm trying to make $100, $200 at most. If I catch pocket, if I break aces and kings with a set of sevens or eights, I'll make more money. And it's really when you get the burn hands. I got aces, you got kings. I got a higher flush than you. I got a higher straight than you. That's it. I mean, otherwise it's just, you get lucky when 2 or 3 people go all in on flush draws and you got a full house. I mean, it happens once in a while, but not what you're counting on. So you can win a little bit more, but I've made a lot more money betting sports than I have betting poker. Especially Hold'em. It's just it's very lucky. Even if, no matter what, no matter how you play. Oh, I played a guy, he goes all in and I got trip queen. So I call him. Well, he's on a flush draw. So I got lucky. The flush didn't hit and I won a big hand. But had the flush hit, I lose. Right. So I just get lucky that the flush didn't hit and I flopped the set. Well, I had queens. I got the third queen on the flop with 2 diamonds. The guy's got 4 diamonds. He goes all in and I call him. Why did he go all in? That's the mistake he made. He goes all in, so he gets paid off if he hits the flush, which he didn't hit. But I call with the set. So he's got to understand. I would have just checked it. Okay. And if I hit my diamond, then I'm going to make a bet. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to call him with the set no matter what happens. Even if the diamond hits and he's got the flush, I'm calling with my set of queens, making sure he's got this, and I can still hit a full house. Now, I never hit my full house. He never hit his flush. I won a big hand. There was another guy in also fishing for the flush. So I made it was a real big hand. But again, it was all luck. I got trips and he got the diamond draw and the diamond didn't hit. So I got lucky the diamond didn't hit. And that was it. And I got lucky that I had the trips, or I probably wouldn't have called. If I just had a pair of queens, I probably am not calling them. But with the set of queens, and queen was the top, it was queen 6-10 or something, or queen 6-3. So I know I got the high set. So I know I got the best hand. I can't fold it. So it's hands like that. So you just get lucky if you get those type of hands. Then you can, maybe I won $1,000 that night. But you don't try to win it. You just, whatever happens, you don't know the hand. You don't know if you're going to get sucked out. You don't know if you're going to get checked raised. You don't know if your hand's going to hold up or not. And that's the psychology. Now in a cash game, that's big different. In a tournament, you're more apt to go all in to get your stat. And I don't understand why. You played it pretty good for, a long time. You get to the final table and now you're playing, you're pushing all in with ace king. Like, no, make your same bet you'd make if you're at the $1,000 mark. And then let's see the flop. I like to be very conservative. I like to see the flop if I got ace king. I don't want to over bet it. Now, aces and kings is a different story. But if I got ace king, ace queen, I want to see a flop. that's just the way I am. Okay, I hit my king, I hit my ace. Now I can go to town, and we will see. But that's kind of what you look at. So you're reading the player, but you're still reading the board, and you're still reading. You're figuring out what does the guy have, but you're watching the bets, and then you learn if the player checks a lot. So he checks. Is he betting or not? Like Johnny Chan checks a lot. And I'm just throwing these names out from what I watched. So he's a checker. So if he checked to me, I'd check back. Unless I had a big hand, I would be afraid, he's slow playing me, or Phil Hellmuth. These are guys that slow play you, want you to make the move, and then they go all in on you. So when I played people like that, not necessarily Johnny Chan, but when I played people who slow play you, I don't even bet. I told you that hand the other day. I'm playing the guy who just checks, wants you to bet, and then check raises you. And I've seen him do it many times. So I got a pair, and he's checking, and I just check right back. And then he checks the turn, and I check right back. I ended up hitting 2 pair, and he ends up with a flush. And he checks, and I checked right back. And he turns over his flush, and I just say, "Wow, it's great betting. You really bet your flush well." I mean, he bet nothing. He won nothing in the pot with the flush because he's waiting for me to bet. But I know what type of player he was, so I wasn't going to bet into him and have him check raise me. And I didn't care if I won or not. It was just, I'm not getting outsmarted by you. So you're just trying to read what the other player does. But again, it's not 100%. Sometimes I'm going to check my aces. Sometimes I'm going to bet them. Sometimes I'm going to bluff. Sometimes I won't. You just got to be careful about it. I try to play more conservative, like I said, so I probably aren't bluffing that much, unless it's just check around on the flop and check around on the turn. I'll put in $20 on the turn then and see everybody fold. But I didn't make any money. Nobody's really going to call me. But people are scared of me because they know I will check the full house or the quads. And so when I check, they don't know if I'm checking because I got the big hand or I got nothing. So I do have a huge advantage in that. So actually why you do check. You just put doubt in the other player's mind is really a key when you're playing poker. And that's the only thing. Like when you're playing roulette or baccarat, there's no, it's just you're betting and you hope, the dealer's controlling it. But in poker, you are definitely trying, again, the object is to read the other player. What do the other players? So when they say that in Casino Royale, James Bond says, well, you don't really play your hand, you play the opponent's hand. That's partly true, but you still play. If you're dealt, pocket aces and an ace hits a flop, you're playing your hand. You're still looking at the other guy, what I can bet on him, but you're basically playing your hand. And if the other guy catches a good hand, catches trip kings, and you got trip aces, it doesn't really matter. He's going to make a big bet, and you're going to call. So part of that's what it means, is what type of player is it? So you basically, it's like the football, right? There are A teams, there's Z teams, there are over teams, there are under teams. And you're doing the same in poker. What kind of player is he? Is he an A player, a Z player? Does he bet a lot? Does he bluff a lot? But I think when you get to the higher levels, they mix it up pretty good. You don't really know what they got. They'll bluff enough. They'll make big bets. And normally when I get the big bet thrown at me, depends what I have. If I have nothing, I'm out of the hand. So I don't get bluffed too often because I'm out of the hand. When I'm in the hand, I have decent cards. So if you so you're scared to make a big bet out of me because if I'm in the hand, I have something. Because I'll fold 2-9 and 3-jack. And I'm not playing crap. And I don't believe in bluffing with the crap. The odds in you getting away with it are slim and none anyway. And then you're not going to win a lot because you can't really bet a lot. The guy's calling you. Well, then he probably has me beat if I got 3-jack and I bet $50. and he calls, and the turn comes, and I bet $75, and he calls. Well, okay, I'm fucked. I got 3 jack. Okay, I'll have to make a bet on the river because I can't win if I don't bet. And that's the key on the river. You can only win if you bet because you don't have anything. And that's what you got to be careful. Does that make sense? If he really had a flush, would he bet that much? Probably not, because at the end of the day, you want me to call. Think about it. You got 4 aces, and you're going, how much should I bet to get him to call me? Because I know I won the hand, but if I go all in, he'll never call me. So I gotta, and now I'm playing 1-2 no limit with $300. So that's why I give these amounts. So maybe I can bet $50 and he'll call me, depending if he hit his hand. If he's got a hand, he'll call me. Most people are into their own hands. I've seen some old guys, they're all happy with pair of jacks. I was helping my friend out. So I'm at the table and he got pocket jacks. The flop comes ace, king, 9. And, and it's some guy bets, some guy calls. Well, there's ace, king. Somebody has an ace or king. You have jacks. You have shit. Fold it. So he folds it, and there, sure enough, they both had aces. And that's where you got to read the board and the betting. But he fell in love with his jack. Oh, I got jacks. Well, great. But this is community cards. So you got to understand if there's an ace or a king out there, your jacks, you got to just throw them away. Yeah, they're nice. They look nice, but they're not worth anything on that board. So you're playing the board, and then it's just being tricky on the bets. Sometimes I bet a lot with nothing, and sometimes I check with a big hand. A lot of that too is if I have aces, I don't check too often because I know it's not that strong. Again, pre-flop it is, but after the flop, now there's 3 cards out there. Your aces are in big trouble, and so you understand that. So you're not betting it. You can't really check it. I got aces. I check. Then all I'm doing is letting everybody catch another card on the turn. And now there's 4 cards out there to beat my aces. So I'm fucked. I have 0 chance of winning. And if my aces are still good, I can't really make a bet to win any money anyway. So you make a $20, $30 bet. You might get a caller who might have 9s or 10s. And you just keep it at that point. You just keep. But you can't check aces or kings. It's not big enough. Once 5 cards are out there and it's all community cards and there's 2 or 3 people in, your aces are a loser. Unless everybody's checking, then you're not winning any money anyway. But you got to understand your image, right? My image is I'm a motherfucker. So you really don't know what I have. When I check, it, like I said, it could be a full house. It could be nothing, but you don't know because I do both, and therefore you're fucked. I was in Vegas and I got no cards for like a half hour. And I don't know. I remember, and then I made a comment and the guy says, well, I know how you play. You have no idea how I play. I haven't gotten cards to make any of my moves. I can't check my full house to you because I didn't get any cards. So I'm very, you think I'm tight and I only play good cards, but I haven't gotten good cards to even play. I haven't even gotten an ace 10 or a pair of 8s or anything. I'm getting 2 9s. So all I'm doing is folding. So, I fold weak hands. Wonderful. That'll really help you. But I wasn't catching any cards. So I had the discipline to do it. And people have praised me on that. They said, I wish I had your discipline because I'll throw out the 2 8s and the 2 9s and, at least play a pair of 7s. It doesn't have to be, give me an ace 10, give me a 9 8, a dime, give me something that I can play and see a flop with. So the guy said, oh, I know your hand. I know how you play. And I'm laughing like, yeah, I don't think so. But that's what you're trying to do is understand the other players. He made a bet. Probably he's got a hand. If you're playing slow play, and you watch him at other hands, here, this guy's checking, he's checking. He bets the river, boom, he's got the hand. Okay, he's slow playing. And so I understand when, he checks, oh, I'm going to check. Just like the guy played where I checked, and he had the flush. So you try to understand. That's why you got to watch how they play other players. Then you can just observe. Well, he made bets, and they both had hands, so they both play. But it depends who. You got to give your image at the table. And is it I'm going to bluff, I'm going to bet, or whatever it is, you're giving that image. And that's the key to it. What are you giving? And so that's really the problem. So again, it's about winning. And if they can read you easily, you'll get a good hand and everybody will fold. Like when I used to play when I was 13 years old, and the kid folded every hand, and then he'd finally get in and bet, and everybody folded their cards. We'd go, oh, this guy's in. And everybody would fold. So he couldn't win any money because he's folding, finally gets a good hand, bats, everybody folds. So you can't be that predictable. That's why you call hands, and you might call hands with queens. You got to do that a few times. Oh, wait, he didn't bet his queens, or he didn't bet his kings. You got to be disciplined if you got queens in an ace flops. You got to be very careful betting into aces, right? Because people play aces a lot. I got ace six. I'm going to play it because I got an ace. And an ace flops, and now you're fucked with queens or jacks. So you got to be very careful. Like I said, these low pairs, I don't know if you should play them or not. You got a pair of threes. You either hit the set on the flop, or you got to be gone. So I think it would depend how much it costs you to get in. You certainly aren't going to go all in, and you certainly know the players. So if you know a guy has a big hand and he bets, you probably get out with your twos, because then you're asking for a miracle. You got to catch a two-outer on the flop to beat him. Not that it doesn't happen, but at the right price. If it's a small bet, okay, I'll see the flop and try to catch it. And once in a while you catch it, and then it's worthwhile, because then he'll hammer you with his hand, and you got, a set of twos, you win. And but that's what you're really looking to do, being careful. If it's a big bet, somebody's betting $50, $60, and I got a pair of twos, I'm not seeing the flop. I know I'm behind. I know they got tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces, whatever. I know I need a miracle. Now, if I catch the miracle, I'll win a big pot. So it depends on how much it is and my position in the game. But generally, that's all you're in with pair twos or threes or fours, is to catch the set, not to you're not really in the bluff. Well, I think he's got ace king and the flop came low, and he's betting, he's betting to get, that's sometimes they bet is it's ace king and they missed a flop 9-7-5. You're sitting there with a pair of twos. Well, you didn't catch your set, but there isn't high cards, and then he's making the bet and he's betting like $30, and you're like, he probably missed his, or he's got aces, kings, queens, or jacks. But what did he bet pre-flop? He probably bet a decent amount with his ace king. So then your decision is, he on ace king and my twos are good, or is he not? And then again, that's just your heads up. There's 3 or 4 people in there. You got to get the hell out, because one of them caught a pair. You just assume that, and you don't need to invest $100 with your pair of twos, hoping nobody I got sixes. Yeah, you're fucked. So be careful. You can be tricky, and you can make a big bluff at the end, because you've been calling, and now I'm going to raise you, and maybe you get them out. That's probably the only way to really bluff, is if you're in, but you got to be careful. So you're looking for the set with the twos, the threes, the fours, the fives. That's really the only advantage. If you catch it, you got to be very careful how to bet it. You just let him catch something, maybe a pair or 2 pair, and then I busted aces with that. The guy had aces, and I got a set of twos or something like that. And we ended up going all in, and I show him aces. Here's a set of twos. So people overplay their aces. I'm one of the few that can get out of it with the aces. Like I said, I bet 30, 40 bucks with aces. I get a caller, flop comes, he checks. I bet another 30, $40 because that's all I need to bet to get him out. A $30 bet, if he missed the flop, he'll fold. So I don't need to bet 100 and then he comes over the top and check raises me. I can just do it with 30 bucks. Right? He's folding if he missed. And then, he hit. He's either going to call me because he's got a pair of sixes, in which case is fine, or he's going to check. I'm going to bet because I got the aces and he knows it because I'm betting big. And then he check raises me, in which case I fold immediately because it's not worth it to me. I'm betting big and he's check raising me. He knows I'm going to call. I should call, but I'm smarter than that. And so he does that. And I just fold it. I just assume he's got a set and fold it. There's no anything else. You've got the set. I'm folding. That's just how it works. And it's just about losing little. Okay, good. He bluffed me, or okay, fine. You won that hand. That's fine. And I'll get you the next hand, and you learn what he did, right? But generally, when they check raise, they got the set. Otherwise, why are they check raising you? He's got eights. He's checking. He's calling. I got eights. I'm going to call you, and hope you're on ace king. But why would you raise? Why would you raise a guy who's making big bets? You assume I got aces. You assume I'm going to call. So you assume you can make this big bet. That's how I look at it. So the check raise is a very it's a very big hand that you have because you want me to bet. Well, why would you want me to bet? You only want me to bet when you got me beat, right? If I got a pair of sevens and the board comes ace, king, queen, I don't want you to bet. You probably got me beat. So again, now I see a little bit with a check raise is a bluff. It's a good bluff if you're playing the right skilled player. So if you played me and you check raised me, you would win. But if you play somebody else who's got a pair of tens and you check raise, he might call you. Check, bet, check raise. Well, I got tens. I'm going to call. Again, they fall in love with their hand. And like the guy with jacks, he calls, even though he shouldn't. So you try to get tells where you can. You try to understand the players you're playing with. You try to take control of the hand. By that, I mean, once I flop like two pair or something and I check to trap and the guy starts betting a lot and then, now I don't know what to do. Well, maybe he's got a big hand. That's why if I make the bet, then I see what he does to me. So if I come out with $50 and then he raises me, okay, he's got me. But if he just calls me, okay, I probably have him. But there was hands where I got, a big hand and I check and he makes this $100 bet. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? That's what I noticed the downfall of most players. It's a check to them on the river and they bet $50 and then the guy goes 200 on them. And then they end up folding because they don't want to bet the 200. It's too much. And well, if you can't do that, then you shouldn't have bet. If he checks to you, just check back. If you can't make a check raise play, then just check back. It's as simple as that. And they don't do it, but that's what they should be doing. So that's the point. Don't make a bet if you're going to get raised and you can't call it, then don't make the bet in the first place. Just win what you can. There's $80 in the pot. Oh, I'm going to bet another 30, which goes back to my whole greed thing. So if the guy had a hand, he wouldn't check to you, right? He'd make the bet because he's greedy and he wants to win money. So they're going to normally do that unless they know you're aggressive. So if they know you're aggressive, they'll check to your aggression and you'll bet, right? But if they don't know if you're aggressive, if you play it very sly, like the sly fox, they won't know what to do. So they when they check, they don't have a hand. But you be careful to check raise, and you try to read the player. Like I said, the guy had a royal flush on me the other day. I had a straight flush, but the way he reacted, he was all excited, like he won $1 million. Yes, I got it. So I knew. I looked at this. This is a 7-card stud with a spit. I knew he had to have a royal flush because there was nothing else. It wasn't a pair on him, and he had like 3 diamonds. So you knew he had a royal flush because they were like king, queen, jack, and I'm sitting on 7, 8, 9, 10, jack of club, let's say. So his reaction told me what he had. Now the pros aren't probably they're gonna do it subliminally, but not like the guy did, where he basically said, I got a royal flush. And I'm like, well, I got a straight flush, but I'll just call just because. I had to call. I got a straight flush, but I had to be careful. Anyway, what else? So gold and silver were being trapped by the banks, playing these little option games, keeping the price of gold and silver down. But eventually the market wins, which means eventually gold and silver physical, the demand for the physical wins. You can keep it down a little bit, but eventually we go to the store, we buy gold, we buy silver, they order more, and then eventually the price moves up because of the demand for it. And that's what we have now. So they're playing a little game. I don't understand. If they were smart, they would just buy physical and let the price run. If the U.S. actually has gold, they should pull it out and pay off their debt, but they don't. And then they're going to try to inflate the dollars to zero and use that to pay it off. Are you kidding me? So let's go back to Weimar, Germany in 1923. And I've just printed my money to zero, and I need wheelbarrows to go buy a milk. But the reason was Germany had to pay off World War I, so they're paying these countries. So they printed money to pay off the countries that they owed for the military death. Well, once they're using the wheelbarrow, do you think the U.S. and England are going to take that money? No, they're not going to take it. They're not stupid. We don't want the Reichsmark that I need a wheelbarrow. And that's how they kind of tracked it. They made the market, the exchange market was probably, you needed 1 million Reichsmarks for $1. So that's probably what'll happen here. But as they inflate the money to zero, which is, I guess, their plan, I don't think it can work, because who in their right mind is going to take it? That's it. But stay out of bonds. Bonds are with all the inflation going on here, there's big trouble. So they're not revaluing their dollar. It's inflated to nothing. The dollar goes to zero. It's not revalued. The dollar goes to zero, and then you need a currency, because this is how our economy works. You get paid in dollars and you go buy stuff with it. So it's got to be good money. Otherwise, how are you going to? So you need a wheelbarrow. You go to work, and they still pay you your $100,000, but the money's not worth anything. You're still going to go work there to get money that isn't worth anything. Digital is not worth anything. It's not real. I don't care what they say. It's not real. It's not gold back. I don't see how that's worth anything. So keep that in mind. But that's it. So I don't know if they're going to be able to pay their debt off with inflating the money to zero and then printing wheelbarrows full of money and saying, here's your 39 trillion, everybody. And then, that's their plan, is to ruin the dollar, because George Soros will make a fortune because he shorted the dollar like he shorted the British pound. In 1990, he shorted the British pound and he made a ton of money. as it went, and they're going to do the same playbook apparently for ours. So this is why I'm yelling at you to get out of the stock market, get out of the banks, and get into gold and silver. It won't affect us because we're out of the dollar, right? In the dollar, it's worthless. So when this goes to zero, but this won't go to zero, this will then be priced in silver. Silver will have its price, gold will have its price, platinum, palladium, titanium, nickel, all those will have prices, but they won't be priced in dollars. So this won't be $77 anymore. This will be a much higher value in silver. And all the prices come down, and then you go to the grocery store and it's a tenth of an ounce of silver buys you, a steak. And you fill your grocery cart up with an ounce of silver. Well, it won't even be an ounce, a half ounce. So we'll fill your cart and pay for it. So that's why you accumulate as much as you can, because that's where it's headed. And then how are you going to work? Your paycheck's worthless. Now what do? Well, I work at GM and I make $100,000 a year as some engineer. Well, wait, I get a paycheck in dollars. The dollars aren't worth anything. And this is where the real problem is going to be. How are they going to adjust your wages to whatever the hell the new currency is? And most people will be clueless. They won't understand what's going on. They'll go to their broker. Oh, just leave the money in Coca-Cola stock. You'll be fine. Oh, stay in Bitcoin. Oh, Larry Fink, stay in Bitcoin. It's going to go up. Famous last word. It's going to go up. Well, yeah, it's not worth anything because it's priced in dollars. So Bitcoin's zero. Oh, it's going to go up. Don't worry. They'll come out with new currency and it'll go to 1 million. Because I'm Michael Saylor and I'm an idiot. I'm the Ponzi scheme guy. So that's really the problem. So if you understand the dollar is going to be worthless, you have to get out of it. Because holding it gets you zero. Your house goes to zero. Anything priced in dollars goes to zero, but gold and silver is real money. And your Mantle card will get repriced in gold and silver as well. Your Brady card, your Rolexes, they all get repriced in gold and silver. And your house and your car. So it's a transition of this is worthless, but this isn't, right? So you want to get into real assets that will keep its value. So this doesn't need to be priced in dollars. In fact, it shouldn't be. It should just be priced in silver. This is the value of silver. Even oil, everything is priced in dollars, so we'll have to get rid of it. But that's the key that's coming. And that's what's going to throw a lot of people. And that's what's going to be a lot of panic. They'll realize the money they've saved is worthless. Thanks to your bankers, your best friends. Do they not have a conscience? So they're ruining everything so they can make a few dollars, like attack on Wall Street, and the guy can screw everybody. They take risk and they win, and they can take a risk and they lose. So who cares? Even though we delisted the real estate trust and fucked everybody because it wasn't a gamble anymore, we killed it. And so that's really what you got to understand. So anyway, let's see what our gold and silver on our fake paper COMEX is doing now. Oh, wait, I want to show you another video. All right, so silver is 77.69, gold back down to 49.87. So it got up to 50.20 at 10 o'clock, and then the 10 o'clock drop happened at 11 o'clock. Still the same bullshit, 5,000 roughly, and 77.74. So it's roughly, I don't know, $80 an ounce, 5,000 an ounce roughly. But why isn't it moving? Why is this down 6 cents and 13 cents? Why is it not moving? That's the crazy part. All right, there's one more video I want to show you. So here's Egon giving us the total debt's 370 trillion, not 37. That's just the US part. This is the global debt. How are you going to pay that off? I mean, are you going to inflate the money and nobody's going to take the money? All right. So I was watching a little of this, what Germany just did to Italy. So this is Europe going broke. So don't be surprised when Europe goes broke. They're in euros. That's worthless. You got all this fighting with NATO and Russia. Wars are very expensive. The weapons, the missiles, the feeding the soldiers, the gas you need for the cars and the trucks and the planes, they all need gas, the boats. So you have all these expenses and there's no revenue. So when you go out on a mission and you're in the Jeep and you're in the you're in the tank, I mean, you need a lot of gas for that. There's a movie, The Battle of the Bulge, and when the Germans dressed up as Americans, and what happened was they were making this offensive with all these tanks, and they ran out of gas, so they couldn't go anymore because they had no fuel. So you need gas, so you need all this stuff in a war. And wars are very expensive. All right, so let's see what Germany and Italy is up to.
Okay, everybody, listen up. We have a problem. Dollar Shave Club just created their best razor ever at a... Italy just handed Germany a 72-hour ultimatum that could destroy the European Union. Giorgia Meloni has threatened to cut off Germany's energy supply, veto the entire EU budget, and trigger a debt crisis that will make 2008 look like a joke. A leaked document reveals that Germany tried to seize control of Italy's entire economy. Meloni saw it and declared war. The markets are panicking, bond spreads are exploding, and Friedrich Merz is trapped with no way out. If he backs down, his career is over. If he fights back, the euro collapses Monday morning. And what happens next will determine whether Europe survives or burns to the ground. You need to see this now. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you has been deliberately hidden from public view. 3 days ago, a confidential document landed on Giorgia Meloni's desk in Rome. This wasn't a policy proposal. This was an economic execution order designed to strip Italy of its sovereignty and turn it into a financial colony of Berlin. The document is called the European Fiscal Consolidation Framework, and it's the most aggressive power grab in EU history. Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor who came to power promising to restore Germany's dominance over Europe, crafted this plan with surgical precision. But he made one fatal error. He underestimated the woman sitting in the Palazzo Chigi. Here's what the leaked document reveals and why it triggered a diplomatic nuclear explosion. The German plan specifically targets countries with debt-to-GDP ratios above 115%. That's not a coincidence. That's a laser-guided missile aimed directly at Italy. The proposal demands immediate transfer of budgetary control from Rome to a newly created European fiscal authority, headquartered in Frankfurt and controlled by German economists. Let that sink in. Germany wants to decide how Italy spends Italian taxpayer money before the Italian parliament even sees the budget. This isn't cooperation. This is annexation by spreadsheet. But it gets worse, much worse. The plan includes a mandatory asset collateralization clause. In plain English, Italy would be forced to hand over ownership stakes in state-controlled companies, including energy giants like Eni, defense contractors like Leonardo, and infrastructure operators as collateral for continued European central bank support. Germany isn't asking for fiscal discipline. Germany is demanding Italy mortgage its entire industrial backbone to keep the lights on. And the numbers are staggering. The leaked memo estimates the total asset transfer at 340 billion euros. That's not a budget cut, that's a liquidation sale. The breaking point came during the emergency Eurogroup meeting in Brussels 72 hours ago. Merz's finance minister walked into that room with absolute confidence, expecting Italy to cave under pressure. After all, Italy needs ECB bond purchases to survive. Debt is massive. Italy should be desperate. That was the German calculation. They were wrong. When the German delegation presented the finalized framework, Meloni's finance minister didn't ask for modifications. He didn't request amendments. He stood up,
looked the Germans in the eye, and said one word: no. Then he walked out. The room went silent. Nobody walks out on Germany. Nobody. But the real earthquake happened 6 hours later. Meloni held a press conference in Rome that sent shockwaves through every European capital. She didn't use diplomatic language. She didn't hide behind political spin. She called the German proposal exactly what it is: economic warfare. She revealed that Italian intelligence had intercepted internal German communications describing the plan as Operation Southern Anchor, a strategy to lock Southern European economies into permanent dependence on Berlin. The documents referred to Italy not as a partner nation, but as a stabilization target. That phrase, stabilization target, is the language of occupation, not alliance. Then Meloni dropped the hammer. She announced that Italy is issuing a 72-hour ultimatum to Berlin. If Germany does not publicly withdraw the fiscal consolidation framework and issue a formal apology by Monday morning, Italy will trigger 3 retaliatory measures so severe they could shatter the European Union. First, Italy will immediately veto the entire EU multi-year budget framework. Without Italy's approval, the EU cannot function. Every program, every subsidy, every infrastructure project grinds to a halt on January 1st. The European Commission would be paralyzed. Second, Italy will suspend all energy cooperation agreements with Germany. This is the nuclear option nobody saw coming. Italy controls critical Mediterranean energy corridors, including the Trans-Adriatic pipeline and emerging hydrogen infrastructure from North Africa. Germany's industrial sector is already hemorrhaging due to high energy costs. If Italy cuts off access to Mediterranean energy supplies, German factories will face rationing within weeks. Merz promised to restore German industrial power. Meloni is threatening to turn off the electricity. Third, and this is the part that has bond traders in absolute panic, Italy will trigger the sovereign debt restructuring clause buried in the ESM treaty. If Italy formally declares that its debt has become unsustainable due to external coercion, it can legally demand an EU-wide debt conference. This would force every Eurozone nation to renegotiate sovereign debt terms. The financial markets would explode. The euro would crater. Pension funds across Europe would lose trillions overnight. Merz wanted to discipline Italy. Meloni is threatening to burn down the entire system. Right now.
Okay, so can we believe this is real? Maybe. I mean, it sounds like it is the term spreadsheet. I guess who texted me, probably Alyssa. So here's this thing. So it might happen. This might happen. That might. And this is the problem you have. So Germany's trying to bully Italy. Now, are these people even qualified? Does this Metz have any clue what he's doing? Does this Meloni in Italy? She's pretty. Does she know what she's doing? Are there finance people, Austrians or Keynesians? Germany can't live with higher oil energy prices. And if they're getting the energy through Italy from the Mediterranean, they got to be careful. So I don't know what Italy's doing. Now, this is where substitute comes in. If A happens, then I got to, like, in other words, if I want to buy a steak and there's New York strip, and then I say, oh, well, there's New York strip, and then, well, it's expensive, I can buy a porterhouse instead, or a T-bone, because it's cheaper, right? So that's what Italy has to have a substitute for Germany. This is the problem with the EU. This is why you want your own currency. And this is why you want your currency backed by gold. So if Italy had their own gold-backed currency, nobody could do anything to them. It's like us. We have our own gold and silver. Nobody can do anything to us. We have it. That's it. That's the bottom line. We have gold and silver, so I don't care what you do with the money. It's meaningless to me because I have gold and silver. And that's one thing when my friend asked me for some money and I said, I don't have it to give you. I have gold and silver is because of that. So what happens in Europe, I don't know, but this is the problem. So you've got idiots controlling the money. So that's why you've got to be in the gold and silver. And they'll tell, oh, it's a capital gains tax and this and that. Well, if I go to Italy and sell my silver, am I going to get a capital gains tax? I'm not going to do a tax return there. So how am I going to do a capital gains tax? Anyway, so that's kind of what's going on. A long class. All right. So I hope you understand. Poker, there's many variations. You're trying to learn the player. You got to be careful of the players. The better the players, the more tricky they are. You got to understand the bets. What do the bets mean? When they call you, you should ask, why did he call me? When he raises you, why did he raise you? When he checks raises you, why did he check raise me? And you just go right down the list and you do things like that. So that's really what you're looking for. Football, we've discussed. Again, you're reading the signs. The quarterback runs too much. He doesn't know what he's doing. He scrambles around like Caleb. He doesn't know what he's doing. You got CJ Stroud. He doesn't know what he's doing because you have the best defense in the game. You can't throw 5 interceptions in a playoff game when you have the best defense in the game. You've got to understand the whole thesis of your team, their team, the game, and everything else. So you're looking for weak teams to bet against because they're not going to win. They're weak. They don't have a good coach. They don't have a good quarterback. Their defense sucks. So you're going to take advantage of it. So it's all of that. Gold and silver, like I say, it's going to go up. We just got to be patient. See it today. It's back. It was 5,000 and now it's back to 49.75 and silver's 77. So we know it's going up. We know they've smoked and they drank and they put a lot of poison in their body and they're going to get sick. We know that's what's going to happen. So you just got to go from there. And that's it. So we've got to look into all that. So again, it's the understanding. It's what's going on. Why is this happening? What can I do? What should I do? And you got to be very careful who you ask. Like I just showed you, are these France or Germany and Italy, are these people smart or do they know what they're doing or not? Why is the dollar going out? What's going on with these inflation? You're inflating, means the dollar's worthless. So we're going to make the dollar worthless and we're going to try to pay off our debt with that. Really? Good luck. Nobody's going to take it. They didn't take Germany. I'm sure when they got to the wheelbarrow, all the countries in World War I saying, we don't want it. And then they came out with the Deutschmark, which they probably took. But even that, I don't know what the value was. So again, if the dollar doesn't get backed by gold or silver or the Bitcoin or stable coin or any of these things are not backed, they're worthless. So it's very simple. Anyway, I think that's good. You're very good at poker. You must win a lot. Well, I'm good at poker. Winning and losing is luck, right? I have pocket aces and I lose to a set of tens. Oh, I'm good, but it's a lot of luck. So I've won more than I've lost at poker, but that's why I buy gold and silver. Buying gold and silver is a win every hand. Playing poker, I could have great cards and lose. I could get aces and lose to a set, and I get kings and lose to a set or lose to ace king that hits the ace. So it's a lot of luck involved, and I don't like the luck as much as I like buying gold and silver where I don't have luck involved. So with that, I will sneeze again. All right. Have a nice day then. www.teaserking.com. And take care, everybody. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, the 20th. We had Friday the 13th last week. I don't know why gold and silver is just sitting there when we know there's heavy demand and low supply and the price should be going through the roof. And a lot of places don't even have silver to buy. In a lot of places, like in Singapore, there's lines out the door. There's no silver in Australia and the US. They stop. So there's a lot of problems where there's no supply, high demand, and yet the price isn't going anywhere because we're all sitting there like idiots looking at Comax, who's price fixing it. Why are we looking at them? Why aren't we using a physical exchange? I'm sure it's the mafia has everything to do with it. Anyway, take care. Have a good day. Try to relax. Don't worry about the gold and silver. Just try to own it. The more you own, the better off you'll be. This and this will be zero. So if you're holding this, you're going to get fucked. So just understand that. All right, then. Have a good day and enjoy www.teaserking.com. All right. Thank you, everybody. Ciao.